And I come back and I said, Max, you watch and see what's going to happen in a few days. And we wait, no car, no grain coming. Geez, I went back again to St. Laurent. I went back there and I went to these farmers and they were Frenchmen. They couldn't hardly speak English. I got an interpreter with me. I says, what is the matter? I see these are such poor farmers, terrible, terrible plight. They're worn on the land there, and they haven't got even proper shoes to wear. And I see the church they've got, the Catholic church is so beautiful, right? So I get the idea, I don't know, it came to me that I should talk with the priest there. And sure enough, I go in there, and there's a priest there, and he welcomed me, and we sit down, and I said, Father, so-and-so, I tell him how I started this grain business up, and I do everything in the world to get the highest price I possibly can for your flock here, you know, more money that they'll get, that's better for you, and so forth. And besides, I said, I live and let live.
You what?
I live and let live. So I had to say, I live and let live. He understood, apparently. And I said, Father, you see that I get that, and I can assure you the church won't lose anything by it. Word to that effect, and the next thing I know, my God, we get 10 cars of grain. And I start trying to sell this grain. I thought the market price was the quotations on the board. But I went from office to office, and I found out grain, there's a premium of cash grain of between 2 and 4 cents a bushel additional that the grain guys pay. But the farmer never gets that. It's just all divided between these brokers, see? So I turn around and I sell the first 10 cars of grain, and then I take this money that I got extra and I divide it with the church. I give the farmer a penny a bushel more. I give the church that, and we take a penny more. Instead of charging 1 cent a bushel, you see, I'm now getting 2 cents a bushel. The car is 15 bushels, is $1,500, but all I get was 15. Now I'm getting 30. But the main thing, the rest was divided between the farmers and the church. Well, I says, if this works here, my God, it must be working all over. And I went and started to go to the other churches, the Mennonites, the Hutterites. I worked the same thing with them, and we became terrifically big. They all wanted money, sure, for the church. That's the priests. And it was a gold mine. And we started making big money. You know, we started shipping hay. My God, we were the biggest dealers in hay. The stockyards, the whole business was built around somebody being paid off. If you didn't, you got nowhere, see? So it's a great business, and I started making money, hundreds of thousands and thousands and hundreds, you know. So much so, my poor brother, he had enough. He says, it's going to live. He quit in 1919 or 20. He went to California.
Oh, Max made enough money to leave.
He didn't want no more, see. So we stayed there on, and I started making money. And from there I started branching out, besides also in real estate, and I started buying and building stores and other businesses in Winnipeg, and it was just everything I touched turned to gold. And now, I didn't tell you my love affair that I had with the girl when I first met in that store.
Yeah, you did. We have that. We have that one.
You got that, eh?
Yeah.
Then did I tell about meeting Mother? Did I tell about
well,
that?
good. So you got married and you had children right away. You took her on this big honeymoon.
Kayla was born exactly listen to this, she was born 9 months after the day I got married. I'll never forget it.
Was everybody surprised?
My God, surprised, but to the hour, you know.
To the hour?
Oh, yes.
Well?
It was exactly, I remember poor Mother when we got married. Mother was in that position to have any intercourse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until we got to Chicago, and the star hotel. Everything was all right.
That's why you had time for all that shopping in New York.
Hey, that's right.
You know, I've heard you tell about labor pains, how terrible you felt.
Oh, about Kayla, my God, yes.
Well, what was so terrible there?
Well, to me it was so terrible because I loved Mother so much, and she was suffering so terrible. It was her first child, and I just couldn't stand it anyway. I just ran away from the apartment. I ran away downstairs, and God bless her, she had the baby very hard, very hard. Your mother had that, something like you.
Well,
almost lost her.
She always had a lot of hard labor
yes,
pains.
Oh yes, they did well, the first one especially.
But you know, you've always indicated that women suffering, seeing women suffering, always seems to bother you enormously.
Yes it did, because I looked to my poor mother. Now she suffered.
How did she suffer?
I said, Mother, the women paid the price. I tried to when I opened up a store in New York, and prostitutes would come in and try to make me, professionals, and I tried to convince them they shouldn't do those things, and a lot of them thought that I fell in love with them or something. That I tell you, especially girls, I would say, don't you see what will happen to you? You'll be diseased and so forth. Well, then they start crying, and they said they can't go home. I said, I'll take you home. And they took it for that I mean something serious with them, which I didn't at all. It's just, I saw this horrible thing with these prostitutes and houses of ill fame. And
I just... You got a scar on your wrist. Tell us how you got that.
Well, I saw an Italian fellow, I didn't know he was Italian at the time, beating up a woman in the Penny Arcade, and I got up and I separated him, and I hit him a smash in the jaw. I hit him a smash, and he backed away, and all of a sudden he took out a knife, and he came for me. He came for me, and he went for me with this knife, and I put up my hand like that, and I caught the knife right here. And I had no idea that I was even stabbed or anything. I mean, cut. I was so excited. I was bleeding so much, and that's the only way I knew. When I saw that, then I had that guy down on the floor, and I started beating him up with his wife. I didn't know she was his wife then. She came to his rescue. And by God, she came in, got me off of them and everything else like that. In the meantime, I had to go to a doctor, and we had to put in 8 or 10 stitches there. And
she didn't prosecute him then?
No, she was nothing. This is his wife. But I always had this feeling, for sympathetic. I saw where women always paid the price. Man has this pleasure and everything in life, and women, especially in New York, it's horrible things that happened to them. And I always sympathized with these poor girls that were selling their bodies for 50 cents for nothing, for just I don't know, it's just born that way. I can't understand it. I don't know why, but I always felt, I started analyzing the women's existence in this world, and I see they've always been a pawn. They've been a slave to man, and it's been a one-sided deal, and it's because man has powers, more strength, and he abuses that power onto a defenseless person. That's in essence the thing.
You know, I'm reminded the story you told me about the time you had a fight with a guy who called you a dirty, he called you a dirty Jew or something, and you got into a fight with him? And
where
I think it was later, but it's an interesting story in Los Angeles, I think it was.
Yes, that's
and
what here, but
well, but tell that story, because it's an interesting one.
Well, with this, wait till I get to Los Angeles.
Well, we'll get to it. It's all right.
Well, I had then a finance business, and a guy, I had my store, my office on Figueroa and Washington. It was a downstairs store, like an office. And we advertised tremendously big, and I had a big yard where used cars would come in and borrow money in their cars and so forth. And my office was there, and a fella comes in and he knocks on the window, and I come out, and he says he wants to sell me something or other. And I said, "Is that what you called me for?" "Yes, I wanted to sell you that." I says, I don't need that, I don't want it. He says, something about your goddamn dirty sheenies or something. He made a crack like that. I ran after him and I gave him one smash in the face. The one smash in the face, he kept running, and he ran into the drugstore, crossed the way, and he saw his face was just a pulp. It just stuck out like that when he saw it in the mirror. And he came back again, and I was sitting there, and he took off his coat, and he says, "Come on, let's come on out now." And he hung up his coat on the lamppost there on the telephone pole. So I come out, I said, "This time," I says, "I'll kill you if you." And I said, "You want to go ahead and put up your fist?" And then when he saw that, he says, "Oh, never mind." He says, "I guess I had it coming for me." He says, I'm out all day and I couldn't make one sale in here, and I just took it out on you, called you damn sheeny. And he made me cry. I felt so sorry that I hit him, you know. And I says, "Come on here." And I gave him a $10 bill. And I did something. I took him across the street. I bought him a meal. And we took a knife and just, that one punch I gave him, I was a powerful guy, you know. That was just when I got to Los Angeles now. That's 50 years ago.
In the Depression period.
Yeah, it was about 38 years old, 37 years old. And I was pretty goddamn strong, you know. And I was afraid of nobody. Incidentally, I didn't tell you many fights I had with other people.
But
Galore.
did you get hurt ever?
Well, sure, get hurt.
Yeah.
You give and you take, you know. And fight in New York, that was standard equipment. Well, that was, I fear no man.
Where did you get that kind of courage?
Well, you get it when from a kid on, you either fight or you die. I mean, you fight for the kids would put up something on there, said, "Throw it down, come on," something. Bring it the first start. You fight for fun, no reason. And I got to be pretty good at it, see.
Well, that was a rough time in New York too. You have a lot of the Jewish gangs were the toughest gangs in New York.
That's all it was in Jewish where I lived, you know. But then I got hit. You know, did I tell you about the boy hitting me over the head?
No.
Oh my God! I went to start selling newspapers at Park Row. A Jew didn't dare to come. The Jewish boys, and I was there standing there when people, some kids come over and pushed me away and started fighting with me. I said, "Listen, I'll fight all of you. I'll fight one at a time." I said, "We're not short spunk, you know." And I didn't. I beat 3 of them. And they thought they'd let me alone. I thought they'd let me alone. And while I'd go back again, start winning. The next thing I knew, I didn't know it, but I got hit with a bat over the head like that from one of these little bastards. I tied him with a bat, and I wound up in a hospital. And my head is flattened yet to this day. It's flattened from that smash in the head. How I survived it is a miracle. That didn't kill me. And I just as unconscious, you know, when they took me to the hospital. It was first in a police station and then to a hospital. That's my experiences in fighting, you know.
Didn't someone throw you into the river once
Oh
too?
yes, well that's another thing.
What happened?
I used to go on boats at nights to sell shoelaces and collarbones to boats that used to come in from Europe and sneak through. And one day a guy was drunk and he turned around and he threw me in the East River with all my paraphernalia and everything. Well,
What had you done anything to him?
No, what done? I'm down. So the guy was drunk and what do you call it? Bums would beat you up for no reason, just at all. I got beat up many times, I got beat up many times in going across to ferry boats. Put shoelaces on each lap, and then I'd come down and I'd try to sell them to them. All of a sudden, kids would turn around and attack me after fight. It's a fight for life all the time. I got beat many a time. You know?